Ford just filed a stack of patents that could turn your truck into a rolling surveillance system. I am talking about cameras pointed at your face, artificial intelligence that reads your lips, sensors that track your heart rate, and software that can run your biometrics through a law enforcement criminal database before you even shift into drive. Ford says it is about safety and better voice commands. But the actual patent language tells a very different story. I have been working on Fords for over 15 years, and I have watched technology in these trucks evolve from basic OBD2 diagnostics to systems that can now monitor everything happening inside your cab. What Ford has been quietly filing with the Patent Office over the past 2 years should concern every truck owner in America. Today, we are breaking down exactly what these patents describe, what data Ford is already collecting from your vehicle right now, and the federal law that is about to make all of this mandatory. What you are about to hear is not conspiracy. These are published patent applications with real serial numbers that anyone can look up. Let us get into it. The first patent that raised alarms is Ford Patent Application US 20260095520, filed around 2024 and published in April 2026. This patent describes a system that uses interior cameras and machine learning to read your lips while you are sitting in your own truck. Ford's official explanation is that lip reading would help voice commands work better in noisy environments. For example, when you are driving a convertible with the top down or have your windows open on the highway. The system would activate when cabin noise exceeds a certain threshold, and the standard microphones cannot pick up what you are saying clearly. Sounds reasonable on the surface, right? Here is where it gets uncomfortable. The patent also describes using those same cameras to track your facial expressions, analyze your emotions, and determine whether you are alert enough to drive. The system uses AI trained on massive data sets of mouth movements and facial muscle patterns to interpret not just what you are saying, but how you are feeling when you say it. The patent specifically mentions that these lip reading and facial detection functions can operate through a cloud-connected server. That means your face, your expressions, and whatever words the system reads from your lips could be processed and stored on a data center somewhere you will never see and used to train algorithms you will never know about. But that patent is just the beginning. Ford filed a second patent, serial number 0104469, back in February 2024, and it was published in August 2025. This one goes far beyond reading your lips. This system integrates facial recognition, fingerprint scanning, and iris recognition for driver identification. It is designed to scan your biometric data and compare it against databases, including law enforcement criminal databases, in real time. Ford's own patent language describes this capability as potentially useful for police. Let that sink in for a moment. You walk out to your driveway at 7 in the morning. You have not done anything wrong. You have not started the engine. You climb into a truck with your name on the title and your payments up to date. And before you go anywhere, before you have made a single decision that involves anyone else on the road, your truck has already scanned your face and run it through a criminal database. Ford did not hide this in some obscure technical description buried in the filing. They listed it as a feature benefit. The third patent in the stack involves something even more invasive. Ford describes a system that uses inaudible sound waves, a form of echolocation, to read your lips when the cameras alone are not sufficient. The system emits sound waves that bounce off your mouth and analyzes the returning echoes to determine what you are saying. You cannot see it happening, you cannot hear it, you cannot detect it in any way. It simply runs in the background, reading your words from the way your mouth moves and how sound reflects off your face. Ford filed a fourth patent that reveals what this collected data might actually be used for beyond safety. Ford described a system designed for, and these were Ford's own words, maximum opportunity for ad-based monetization. The system monitors all conversations happening inside the cabin and uses that audio data to serve targeted advertisements based on what you and your passengers are discussing while driving. You might say you need new tires and suddenly your infotainment screen starts pushing tire deals. You might mention wanting to grab dinner, and restaurant ads pop up. There is no description in the patent filing of how this conversation data is protected, who has access to it, or how long it is stored. Now, here is what makes all of this more than just theoretical patent filings. Ford Pro Telematics already exists. It is not a patent, it is a product you can find on Ford's website right now. Ford Pro Telematics allows fleet managers to pull live in-cabin video feeds of their drivers in real time, straight to their phones. Ford actively markets this system with features like seatbelt compliance alerts, and they specifically pitch the benefit of lowering insurance costs. The cameras are already installed, the video feeds are already streaming, the data infrastructure is already built and operational. The distance between what Ford has patented and what Ford is already selling to fleet customers is not some massive technological leap. It is one product update. The cameras are in the trucks. The cloud connections are active. The only difference between what exists today and what these patents describe is a software update and a terms of service revision that most owners will click through without reading. This brings us to something most Ford owners do not realize. Your truck is likely already collecting and sharing more data about you than you ever agreed to. A Senate investigation led by Senators Ron Wyden and Edward Markey found that multiple automakers, including General Motors, Honda, and Hyundai, were sharing detailed driving behavior data with data brokers such as Verisk Analytics and LexisNexis. Those brokers then packaged that data into driving behavior history reports and sold them directly to insurance companies. General Motors alone shared data from millions of vehicles through its Smart Driver program, and customers were enrolled using what the senators described as deceptive design techniques. Customers thought they were signing up for safe driving tips and potential insurance discounts. What they did not realize is that the data could also be used by insurers to increase their premiums. The senators formally asked the Federal Trade Commission to investigate these practices. They wrote that it was particularly insulting for automakers selling cars for tens of thousands of dollars to squeeze out a few additional pennies of profit with consumers' private data. General Motors eventually discontinued its Smart Driver program after the investigation, but the infrastructure that made it possible remains in modern vehicles across the industry. If you're finding this information valuable, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe right now, because what I'm about to tell you next is the reason these patents exist in the first place, and it involves a federal law most Americans have never heard of. Buried inside the 2021 Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, in Section 24220, is a mandate that directs the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to require advanced impaired driving prevention technology in every new passenger vehicle sold in the United States. This provision, sometimes called the Halt Drunk Driving Act, requires systems that passively monitor drivers for signs of impairment, whether from alcohol, fatigue, distraction, or anything else. The software interprets as risky and then prevent or limit vehicle operation if the system determines the driver is unfit. No breathalyzer, no police officer at your window, no probable cause. The judgment is made entirely by software and sensors inside your vehicle. If the system decides you're impaired, your truck can refuse to start or restrict how it operates. In January 2026, Representative Thomas Massey of Kentucky offered an amendment to block funding for implementation of this mandate. The amendment failed by a vote of 164 to 268. A separate bill called the No Kill Switches in Cars Act, introduced by Representative Scott Perry of Pennsylvania, seeks to repeal the requirement entirely, but it remains stalled in committee. NHTSA missed its original November 2024 deadline to finalize the rules. The agency received more than 3,000 public comments and has been granted an extension. But there is no public timeline for when the final rule will be issued. Once it is, automakers will have roughly 2 to 3 years to comply. Full implementation is not expected before 2027 at the earliest, but the mandate is active federal law. And here is the part that should keep you up at night. NHTSA has acknowledged that it has not yet identified any commercially available technology that accurately and passively detects driver alcohol impairment. The technology required by law does not fully exist yet, but the law requiring it is already on the books. Ford's patents are not just speculative engineering exercises, they are building the exact surveillance infrastructure this federal mandate will require. Think about how these patents stack together. Cameras watching your face for signs of fatigue, stress, or impairment. Artificial intelligence reading your lips and analyzing your emotional state. Biometric scanners identifying who is behind the wheel. Heart rate monitoring through sensors. Cloud-connected data processing and storage. Now imagine you are in an accident. In the 90 seconds before impact, your truck logged your heart rate, your eye movements, your facial expressions, and your lip movements. Law enforcement subpoenas that data, your insurance company requests it, your own truck essentially testifies against you in court or in a claims dispute. Privacy experts have pointed out that once biometric data is collected inside the cabin, insurance companies do not necessarily need a court order to access it. If it is stored on a manufacturer's cloud server and you agreed to data collection through a terms of service agreement when you activated your connected features, the Fourth Amendment may not protect you. The Fourth Amendment guards against unreasonable government searches and seizures. It requires a warrant and probable cause, but it does not protect you from a private company collecting data you consented to in a click-through agreement. And the government, which would need a warrant to search your truck directly, can simply subpoena the records from the company that stores your data. You provided the consent, the government just files the request. Ford is not the only manufacturer moving in this direction. Driver monitoring software from a company called SmartEye is already installed in over 2 million vehicles worldwide. The European Union General Safety Regulation has mandated drowsiness detection systems as standard equipment in all new vehicles going forward. General Motors has deployed biometric seat sensors and heart rate monitoring in production trucks. Tesla added cabin AI stress detection in 2025. The entire automotive industry has quietly decided that the interior of your vehicle is a data collection environment, and they did it without a public debate or a single vote from anyone who actually drives a truck for a living. Here is what you need to understand about your rights and your options right now. First, check your Ford's Connected Services settings. On your touchscreen, go to Settings, then look for Connectivity or Privacy options. Many Ford models let you disable certain data sharing features, though Ford does not make these options easy to find or understand. Turning off FordPass Connect or declining specific connected services agreements can limit what your vehicle transmits, but it may also disable features you rely on, like remote start and vehicle location. Second, request deletion of your driving data from automakers and data brokers. If you are concerned about data brokers having your driving information, submit data deletion requests directly to your automaker. Under privacy laws in many states, you have the right to request that your personal data be deleted and that companies stop selling or sharing it with third parties. This will not solve the fundamental problem, but it is a step you can take right now. Third, be aware that any Ford vehicle with the Blue Cruise hands-free driving system already has driver-facing cameras installed and active. These cameras now monitor whether you are paying attention while using the system. The hardware for expanded surveillance capabilities is already physically present in many trucks sitting in driveways right now. The real issue is not whether this technology can save lives. Impaired driving kills more than 10,000 people every year in the United States, and nobody disputes that this is a problem worth solving. The issue is, who gets to decide whether you are fit to drive your own vehicle and what happens to all the data collected in the process of making that decision. We already have targeted solutions for impaired driving, like ignition interlocks for convicted offenders. There are over 30 existing devices specifically designed to prevent drunk driving. What Section 24220 creates is universal monitoring, your truck assuming you are guilty before you have done anything at all. Once this infrastructure is embedded in every new vehicle, reversing it will not be simple, cheap, or politically possible. It will be treated as essential safety equipment too normalized to question, and too integrated to remove. Every Ford owner needs to ask themselves a simple question. When you bought your truck, did you agree to have your face scanned, your lips read, your emotions analyzed, your heart rate monitored, and all of that data stored on a cloud server where insurance companies and law enforcement can potentially access it? That is what these patents describe. And the federal government just passed a law that makes the underlying technology mandatory. If you found this valuable, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss critical information about your Ford. Drop a comment below telling me what you think about these patents and whether you would buy a new truck knowing this technology is being built into it. Share this video with every Ford owner you know, because most people have no idea this is happening. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.